problem with those who get in the way of it. We don't come out of the box bashing those who make money, just the politicians stealing it and the bureaucracies wasting it. We're not just sitting behind a desk. We're out in the field, on the floor, with the folks. Because when a story moves forward, so do we.
Fox Business, the power to prosper. Check your local listings.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of each month at 9:30 a.m. to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
That was the sound of a tree falling. It could be your tree. You're going to have it trimmed, but never got around to calling Pride Tree Service. It could have fallen in a field, and now all you have to do is call Pride Tree Service, and they'll have it quickly out of the way for a great price. But don't wait until the tree falls. It may not fall in the field. It may hit your car, your house, or worse. So call Pride Tree Service today and avoid all those headaches before they happen. Pride Tree Service, 840-0750. That's 840-0750.
Let's give it up for old asphalt and a new pair of shoes. Let's give it up for a good rhythm meeting a sweet melody. For a church cookout under clear skies. Let's give it up for good things coming together, like bundling your auto and other policies together with an Allstate agent, which can save you time and keep you better protected. Let's give it up for good.
To receive your comparative insurance quote, contact the McDonald Agency at 622-2333.
Located next door to Silver Spring State Park and a few minutes from historic downtown Ocala, our award-winning Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites of Silver Springs is a place to stay for a friendly, memorable, and fun experience. Enjoy our fast and free Wi-Fi, complimentary hot breakfast, and free parking. Whether you're in town for work or play, our friendly staff will make you feel right at home. That's the Holiday Inn Express and Suites of Silver Springs.
Proud sponsor of College of Central Florida basketball on WOCA The Source.
Join us on Saturday, March 7, 2015 for the second annual Habitat Strawberries Festival at the McPherson Government Complex. The goal of this festival is not only to provide a great time for families in Ocala, but to also raise funds to build a home for our family in our community and support Habitat for Humanity's mission to strengthen communities, build hope, and provide dignified housing solutions. Remember, Saturday, March 7, 2015 for the second annual Habitat Strawberries Festival at the McPherson Government Complex, which starts at 7 a.m. with breakfast.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new trunk.
We can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
Of course you do. There are 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. I see some puddles out there. That's because it was raining overnight. Mm-hmm. Right now here at the studios, not a bad temperature, 61 degrees. I haven't been to the beach in so long.
I
remember going to the beach on mornings like this, hoping it would go away, and then it would. Mm-hmm. A million years ago.
Yeah.
At least a million, I think. Real quickly, there's a ribbon cutting today, this morning. I wanted to do it right now because it's in an hour from now. So if you want to go, you got about 55 minutes. The Florida Cancer Specialists and Research Institute are having their ribbon cutting at 8:30 this morning. They are located in Deerwood Park behind the Regents Bank off of 17th Street. The actual address is 1630 Southeast 18th Street, Suite 602. The ribbon cutting will celebrate 30 years of hope, world-class medicine, and hometown care. So that's at 8:30 this morning. There's another one today, also this morning, but this is at 11 a.m. This is kind of a fun one. Central Christian Church will be having their Little Duckling Sale and Expo, and they have scheduled a ribbon cutting for that at 11 a.m. The Little Duckling Sale and Expo is Ocala's twice-yearly kids consignment sale and expo. Did I tell you this is in the gymnasium of Central Christian Church, located at 3010 Northeast 14th Street here in Ocala. This is a 3-day flash sale with like-new children's clothing, toys, and accessories. It's extremely organized. It says here every item is on consignment with prices set by the seller, entered into the system, and printed with a barcode that is attached to the item.
That takes a lot of work.
That's organized. The event is family-focused, with consigners earning between 65% and 75% for the items that sell. The top consigners last sale were a local teacher and his wife, who made just over $800 in 3 days selling kids' outgrown, like-new, and gently used items. Not bad.
Wow. No.
Not bad. So anyway, that ribbon cutting is at 11 o'clock. Little Duckling has raised over $6,000 for the local women's pregnancy center and their efforts to help growing families. So I suppose if you want to just donate things and you don't care about getting a consignment percentage, then I guess you can do that too. The only other thing I want to do before we talk about the debatable thing, which is the not right to life. That's
the right to die.
Right to die. Yeah. Is this story out of the University of Central Florida. There's a graduate student named George Hatcher who wants to go to Mars. He wants to live on Mars.
Okay.
And he wants to live the rest of his years on Mars. He's 29 years old. He's married. He has a couple of children. Mm-hmm. And he has become a finalist for this one-way mission to Mars.
Wow.
He is Taranjeet Singh Bhatia. More than 200,000 people applied to be colonists after the company issued a global call for applications in 2013. Do you remember my expression about this? Mars One is the company. It's a not-for-profit foundation based in the Netherlands. They plan to colonize Mars, so they're looking for people to go. Mm-hmm. The list has narrowed down to 660 people out of 200,000. A third round announced last week. Narrowed the pool. Now it's down to 100, and he is still in that pool. So 100 people.
Wow.
This is a big moneymaker. I don't care if they call it not-for-profit. These people are setting themselves up to just die on another planet.
Without their families.
Without their families. This guy has a family.
He won't ever be able to talk to him again or see him or anything. I don't think.
Okay. I'm wrong. His name is George Hatcher. The other guy's name is Taranjeet Singh Bhatia. Okay. But they're both in the running. Hatcher is 35 years old. He decided he wanted to be an astronaut at the age of 3. Yeah, well, who didn't?
Yeah.
He has to date worked with NASA as a flight control engineer, and for 7 years he helped repair, test, and launch space shuttles. Well, guess what you're going to be doing on Mars? Nothing.
No, nothing. Nothing.
You're going to be wishing you never made that decision is what you're going to be doing.
So how are they going to breathe after a while? Do they have like an oxygen?
Well, let's assume they have that figured out. Yeah. Let's just assume they have eating and breathing and all of that figured out. Mm-hmm. He's leaving Earth.
Yes, he is.
He has a wife and children who will stay on Earth. Mm-hmm. They need him.
Of course they do.
For Hatcher, that means leaving behind his wife and 2 young children. Those selected for Mars One will go knowing full well that they will almost certainly die on the red planet. He says the one-way nature of the trip is the real cost of the ticket, adding that he would prefer to return to Earth. But if the price of exploring Mars is to spend the rest of his life there, then so be it. I will pay that price. His wife says she agrees with his thoughts on this.
Wonder what kind of life insurance policy he's got. Is there
Would you?
Extra, is there something extra added on that if he goes to Mars that I get like $12 gazillion because he won't ever be back?
I don't know.
Gee.
The 100 remaining candidates will be tested to determine how suited they are to surviving the hardships. The tests will also focus on whether they can work together as a team. They have 100 people. They're picking 24 of those 100. This, to me, is a big self-serving thing for this so-called nonprofit. Come on.
Yeah.
What did they benefit from? How did the people who will stay here, who are part of that nonprofit, quote unquote, how do they benefit from it? Because there's money in it.
That's right. All these people
that
are paying
nonprofit.
money.
I love that nonprofit. Well, it's in the Netherlands, so our rules don't count. But
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure. But gee, you're leaving your family. You're not.
Just
it's a
bothers
one-way
me
ticket.
so much. I mean, so everybody wanted to be an astronaut when they were 3 years old. So be an astronaut. Figure out a way to go up. Go back to the moon.
Yeah.
We can come back from the moon.
Exactly.
One day we'll be able to get to Mars and come back.
Yeah.
Wait till that day. Wait till they have a way to come back.
Right. Exactly.
Talking about the right to die. So he's basically, there is a way to connect that to the topic.
Yes,
which
there is.
The right to die.
It's his right to die on Mars.
10 years ago, there was a woman in the news by the name of Terri Schiavo. You might remember her. Where was she? In Tampa?
Tampa, I believe, yeah.
She was, for all intents and purposes, deceased. But she didn't look deceased. Her eyes were open. She was sitting up in a chair.
Yeah, they did her hair every day, makeup.
Her parents wanted her to stay attached to the machines that were keeping her alive. Her husband did not. And so he won some kind of a ruling to have the life support taken off. And then Jeb Bush, who was the governor at the time, said, no, you can't. So then they kept the tubes plugged in. Now there's two articles, one written by him, the husband, and one written by the brother. They disagree with Jeb Bush's role in that story. Jeb Bush, this whole story is in the news because of the fact that Jeb Bush is a likely contender for the presidency of 2016, the election of 2016.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Writing an online opinion piece for the Wall Street Journal yesterday, Bobby Schindler, this is the brother of Terri Schiavo. Mm-hmm. He's also the executive director of the Terri Schiavo Life and Hope Network, named for his sister. He concedes that criticism for Jeb Bush for supposedly running roughshod over Florida state law appears to go with the territory of what appears to be a presidential run. That's what he thinks. Mm-hmm. In a letter to the editor in the Miami Herald earlier this month, Terri Schiavo's husband, Michael, wrote, quote, "The truth about Jeb Bush is that he used my wife for his own personal political gain," unquote. That's where Schindler disagrees. Many families who know their loved ones are alive, even if minimally conscious, and believe they deserve to live, are willing to take on the care and responsibility for them. Mm-hmm. That's Schindler's opinion. But Schindler is the brother. And according to everything I remember from 10 years ago, it's the spouse that has the right to make a decision.
Right. Once people get married, there is no other rights except for the
So your mom, your dad, they have no rights to say about your life. Mm-hmm. Your children don't have any rights to say about your life. It's the spouse that has the rights. Another one from the brother said, all they ask is for the right to do so, to be able to take care of their dying person. All Jeb Bush did was to help win that right for me and my family, he writes. Sadly for us and for Terri, he could not do that. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be mostly cloudy today with a couple of showers, even a thunderstorm around it this morning. Highs will range from the mid and upper 60s in the northwest part of the zone to 74 along the coast. Mostly cloudy skies tonight with a couple of lingering showers along the coast. Lows ranging from 45 in the northwest part of the zone to the mid-50s along the coast. For tomorrow, variable cloudiness and breezy with a passing shower, highs in the mid and upper 60s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hi, my name is Dr. Erica Olstein with A Better You Healthcare Acupuncture and Eastern Medicine. As primary care physicians, we use acupuncture to treat back pain, arthritis, migraines, allergies, high blood pressure, thyroid disorders, hormone imbalances, stress, and more using all natural medical therapies. We treat the source of your problems, not just your symptoms. For more information, go to abetteryouhealthcare.com or call today to set up your appointment, 352-615-5566.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Since selfies are often shot from below, the neck looks either fattier or saggier from that angle. So more people are seeking under the chin or double chin lipo, chin implants, and neck lifts to remove excess skin. Sleep on it. Trying to force a resolution when you're both exhausted can make things worse. So try tart cherry juice if you have any issues with joint pain or inflammation, and you just might sleep better too.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business. business. Because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services, when your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements. From damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking: will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
All right, 12 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. We are talking about the case of Terry Schiavo from 10 years ago. Terry Schiavo was in I don't know if you called it a coma, but anyway, so she collapsed here in Florida 15 years before she died. Mm-hmm. So for 15 years, she was in this state of non-living.
Yeah.
She was alive, but for all intents and purposes, being kept alive. So 15 years, 13 days after a feeding tube was removed is when she died. The husband finally did win. Terry Schiavo died March 31st of 2005. You probably remember this if you lived in the state. This was a national story, actually.
Yeah.
The president was making a comment on it. The Pope at the time, Pope John Paul II at the time, was making a comment on the state on the case. And of course, a lot of legal analysts were talking about the fact that what this points out is how important a living will is, as you mentioned earlier before, Robin. So I wanted to read to you the article that was written by the husband, because that's probably the first one, right?
Michael, yeah.
Michael. Let me get that one. That's the one that he wrote.
The Tampa Tribune, you say?
I don't remember where he wrote it. Maybe. Here, Michael Schiavo, January 29th of 2015, wrote this, and forgive me for not knowing where this was published, but here it is. He wrote, sitting recently on his brick... Okay, he didn't write this, but this is a story. I might have the wrong thing, but let me read what I have. Sitting recently on his brick back patio here, Michael Schiavo called Jeb Bush a vindictive, untrustworthy coward. Okay, first sentence of the article. My thought is this, that anti-Jeb Bush people are looking for things to put into the news so that Jeb Bush looks bad, and they thought of Michael Schiavo from 10 years ago, and they thought, let's get his information. And there's probably others that they're trying to dig up, too.
Oh, sure.
So the next sentence in the article says, for years, the self-described average Joe felt harassed, targeted, and tormented by the most important person in the state. It was a living hell, he said, and I blame him. Michael Schiavo was the husband of Terry Schiavo, the brain-dead woman from the Tampa Bay area, who ended up at the center of one of the most contentious, drawn-out conflicts in the history of America's culture wars. The fight over her death lasted almost a decade. It started as a private legal back and forth between her husband and her parents. Before it ended, it moved from circuit courts to district courts to state courts to federal courts to the U.S. Supreme Court, from the state legislature in Tallahassee to Congress in Washington, D.C. The president got involved, and so did the Pope, as I mentioned, and of course so did the governor. But it never would have become what it became if not for the dogged intervention of the governor. This is the writing of the article writer, who I don't know who it is. It's funny, it doesn't say. Maybe it says at the end. the second son of the 41st president, the younger brother of the 43rd, the man who sits near the top of the extended early list of likely 2016 presidential candidates for the Republican Party, Jeb Bush. On sustained concentrated display, seen in thousands of pages of court records and hundreds of emails he sent, was Jeb the converted Catholic, Jeb the pro-life conservative, Jeb the hands-on workaholic, Jeb the all-hours emailer, confident, competitive, powerful, obstinate Jeb. These are all the words of whoever wrote this article. I might have it here somewhere. Thank you. Michael Kruse is who I'm reading from. Michael Kruse wrote this article. I don't really need to read much more. I think you get the gist of this. Longtime watchers of John Ellis Bush, also known as Jeb, say what he did throughout the Terry Schiavo case demonstrates how he would operate in the Oval Office. They say it's the Jebest thing Jeb's ever done. Okay? The case showed he will pursue whatever he thinks is right virtually forever, is a statement from Aubrey Jewett, a political science professor at the University of Central Florida. He went on to say, quote, is Aubrey a man or woman? Anyway,
Could be a man or a woman, Aubrey.
It's a theme of Jeb's governorship. He really pushed executive power to the limits, unquote. And then Dennis Baxley is quoted in here as well. Our own Dennis Baxley, he says, quote, if you want to understand Jeb Bush, he's guided by principle over convenience. Dennis Baxley made that statement. Dennis, of course, is one of the state representatives representing us here in Ocala. He went on to say he may be wrong about something, but he knows what he believes. And what he believed in this case, this is not Baxley anymore, this is the writer. What he believed in this case and what he did, according to Miami's Dan Gelber, a Democratic member of the state house during Bush's governorship, was, quote, probably more defining than I suspect Jeb would like, unquote. For Michael Schiavo, the husband of what's her first name again? Terry Schiavo. The importance of the episode, Bush's involvement, and what it might mean for his almost certain candidacy to the presidency is even more viscerally obvious. So, gosh, there's so many ways to look at this. I look at it as a very, very, very political article. Very, very, very much so, trying to point out something that a lot of people might agree with the writer there. That was the opinion of the husband of Terry Schiavo. And as we pointed out, legally, the husband or the wife has final say-so over whether you pull the plug on somebody or not.
Exactly.
The brother, however, Bobby Schindler, is the one who wrote the article that was in the Wall Street Journal. And this was published yesterday evening, as a matter of fact. So this is fresh news. This is what Bobby Schindler writes to counter what Michael Schiavo is quoted as saying in the article. I misspoke earlier when I said that he wrote the article. He didn't. This is what Bobby Schindler says. He says, the usual media suspects are excoriating, Robin? Jeb Bush again for trying to help save my sister Terry Schiavo's life. An article last month in the Tampa Bay Times, there you go, that's where it was. The audacity of Jeb Bush is the title of the article. Later quoted in a New Yorker article titled, quote, The Punisher, accused the former Florida governor of going all in on Schiavo and running roughshod over Florida state law. Bobby Schindler, again the brother of Terry Schiavo, continues to write, I suppose attacks like these go with the territory of what appears to be a presidential run by Mr. Bush, but it is telling that the attacks never tell my sister's whole story or identify the coalition of liberals and conservatives, believers and non-believers, that tried to prevent her slow death by dehydration. The effort to protect Terry went all the way to the Supreme Court. One side comprised a pope, John Paul II, a president, George W. Bush, and a governor, meaning Jeb Bush, as well as Democratic leaders, former Iowa Senator Tom Harkin, for example, and many ordinary Americans who didn't believe that providing food and water for a living human being with a brain injury could reasonably be regarded as extraordinary care. On the other side stood Terry's legal husband, then living with his fiancée and their two children. The vast majority of mainstream media outlets, America's powerful right to die lobby, and sadly one Florida Circuit judge. Again, this is the brother writing this. It was enough to make her dead. On March 18, 2005, Terry was no longer permitted to receive food or water, causing her to slowly starve and dehydrate just as anyone would. Despite my family's efforts, incredibly, we were denied even the right to put ice chips on her lips and tongue to relieve her torment. And Terry died on March 31st of 2005. The case against Jeb Bush seems to be that he exceeded his constitutional authority and, having done so, revealed the kind of rogue president he would be if elected. Actually, he was following a duly passed Florida law later found to be unconstitutional by the Florida Supreme Court. That's not acting unconstitutionally. Once the statute was invalidated, Mr. Bush followed the law. So what he's pointing out is he didn't break the law. He followed the law, and then when the law was changed, he followed that.
Yes.
The facts in Terry's case were rarely presented to the American public in a clear, unbiased, and non-ideological manner, a pattern that has only grown more pronounced as time passed. 10 years later, the media still tread the same well-worn path, presenting a false paradigm of a supposedly loving husband versus interfering theocrats. This is a good opportunity to set the record straight about what the governor was legally permitted to do and what he actually did. This whole thing published just yesterday.
Gosh.
I'm going to read just a little bit more of it, but I think you get the point that he's trying to make. And the point I'm trying to make is that this is all in the news because the man is running for president.
Yes.
Well, not officially yet, but
yeah, but still
looks like he will.
Yeah, they're starting.
Terry, he writes, I'm going to read one more. This is not the last paragraph. You'll have to read the whole thing for yourselves, but it's an interesting thing to look at, especially politically. But the last paragraph I want to read to you is this one. Terry was a live human being who had a brain injury. She was minimally conscious, but contrary to many media reports, her autopsy did not prove that she was in a persistent vegetative state. To that question, several neurologists submitted affidavits to the court and were willing to testify that Terry was not, in fact, unconscious or in a persistent vegetative state. She didn't look like it to me.
No.
Her eyes were open.
Yeah.
Among those neurologists was the widely respected Dr. William P. Cheshire, who examined Terry before her death. They were, however, denied the opportunity to testify by the now retired Circuit Court Judge George Greer because their testimony was deemed new evidence. Clearly, they should have been allowed to testify in a case involving life and death.
Certainly.
So there you go. That's and the guy makes a really, really strong case. You know, nobody is saying that Michael Schiavo couldn't have gone on and lived his life. Obviously, his marriage to his wife, you know, we hear about this a lot of times with people who are married to somebody with Alzheimer's. You know, they still love that person. That person is in the care of a facility somewhere, and they've got a new person.
Yeah.
To love and to have a family with. In his case, because he was young enough.
He could have gotten a divorce.
All right, we'll take a little break and be right back. Have some fun with dad jokes with Galen Uno.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.